Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something truly epic. We're going to uncover the actual source of history-altering, unshakable courage. We're looking through the lens of some of the most intense, high-stakes spiritual battles ever recorded to completely decode the architecture of authority, power, and faith. Trust me, by the time we're done here, your entire understanding of what it means to be courageous is going to be completely transformed. So let's start with a massive question. What's the real difference between just everyday worldly bravery and actual righteous courage? I mean, is genuine courage really just about puffing out your chest and mustering up some human strength? Worldly bravery often boils down to just reckless action. But righteous courage? That is a whole different beast. It's this unshakable, deep-in-your-bones knowing that you are stepping onto the battlefield because it's the right thing to do, and more importantly, because you're backed by a much higher authority. Section 1. Defining righteous courage. To really frame this, let's look at the ancient samurai, specifically the Bushido Code. They have this incredible concept called Yu. It encompasses courage, bravery, valor, fortitude, and this fierce resoluteness. It's about training your mind so intensely that when a challenge suddenly strikes, you don't even blink, you just act. But here is where we're going to elevate this from martial arts into a truly profound spiritual reality. Take a look at Hebrews 11:1, which declares that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the absolute evidence of things unseen. This is where faith and that samurai concept of you are completely intertwined. Because real faith is courage. It means stepping forward into the total unknown, not because you can see the physical path illuminated in front of you, but because you have this absolute fierce conviction in the unseen authority that's guiding your blade, so to speak. But how do you actually maintain that level of conviction when fear inevitably creeps in? Well, 1 John 4:18 gives us the secret weapon. Perfect love casts out fear. Think of fearful thoughts like these stray, shadowy beasts just scratching at the doors of your mind. If you feed that fear, it's just going to keep coming back, right? You literally have to take those thoughts captive. By keeping a laser-like, single-minded focus on God's perfect love, that stray fear is starved out and banished straight back into the shadows. Section 2. The badge and the gun. Okay, let's break down authority versus power because this distinction is absolutely crucial. Think of a police officer for a second. The badge they wear represents their authority, right? It's their legal right to act on behalf of the city. But, as we all know, a piece of metal can't stop a physical threat. That requires the gun, which is the actual power to enforce that authority. For righteous courage, you desperately need both. Believers step out onto the battlefield with the authority of the King's name, but it's backed up by the raw, unstoppable power of the Holy Spirit. Jesus makes this so incredibly clear in Luke 10:19. He says, I have given you authority to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy. Listen to that. He is quite literally handing over the badge. He's granting you the legal, spiritual right to operate in his name. You aren't just out there operating as some lone wolf. You are a fully delegated commission representative of the King himself. Moving on to Section 3. The battle is the Lord's. All right, let's put ourselves right on the battlefield. Picture this cinematic scene. David, who is basically just a kid, is staring down an entire army that is completely paralyzed by this massive giant. But David, he possesses that you. He's got that fierce resoluteness. He looks Goliath dead in the eye and tells him, you come to me with a sword and a spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts. The battle is the Lord's. Boom. David just invoked the badge. He knew with absolute certainty that the sheer power of heaven was backing up his authority. And guys, here is the truly profound reality of that moment. This Lord of hosts, this commander of heaven's armies, was always Jesus Christ, the eternal Word. Long before he ever came to earth in the flesh, he was the God of angel armies. That is the exact same overwhelming authority that backed up David's slingshot, and it is the exact same authority backing you up as a believer today. Crazy, right? Section 4. The God who answers. Now let's look at some truly staggering, almost cinematic odds. On Mount Carmel, you have 450 frantic prophets of Baal on one side. They're literally slashing themselves with knives, completely desperate to wake up a totally silent God. And on the other side, Elijah, just one man, completely calm, resolute, just overflowing with that righteous courage. He even starts mocking them, asking if their God is taking a nap. And he can do this because his conviction and his authority is just absolute rock solid. So Elijah steps up to the plate. No cheap magic tricks here. He meticulously repairs the altar. He cuts the sacrifice, and then, just to make the coming miracle utterly undeniable, he tells them to pour 4 massive barrels of water over the whole thing. Do it a second time, he says. Then a third time. The altar is completely ridiculously drenched, and then, so incredibly confident in the sheer power that backs his badge, he simply prays. And God answers with this epic, consuming fire. It entirely licks up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and every single drop of that water. It's like foundational catechism teaches us that God has 4 core attributes: light, fire, love, and life. Elijah literally called upon a God whose very nature is a consuming fire. Elijah was just the courageous, willing vessel, wielding the authority to let that divine fire absolutely fall. Now we can actually draw this profound, direct line from the blazing fire of Mount Carmel straight into the New Testament. Think about doubting Thomas for a second. When he finally reached out his hand and touched the physical wounds of the resurrected Jesus, he immediately declared, "My Lord and my God." In that human flesh, Thomas instantly recognized that exact same immense divine power, that light, fire, love, and life. The raw power that consumed the soaking wet altar was now standing right in front of him in the flesh. Which brings us to section 5, the final commission. Over in Matthew 28, Jesus makes an absolutely staggering claim. He says, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore." Let that sink in. He is the ultimate king, holding absolute, unmatched authority over every single thing in existence, and he is deliberately delegating it out. He's essentially saying, hey, I have the ultimate badge, and now I am pinning it right on your chest. Now go. And he backs up that authority with an honestly astonishing promise. In John 14:12, he says that whoever believes in him is going to do the very works he does, and actually even greater works, simply because he goes to the Father. You see, you aren't going to be alone out there. When you step out onto the battlefield, he does the heavy lifting through you. The raw power of the Holy Spirit is the unstoppable force that backs your authority. This right here is the ultimate passing of the baton. John 20:21 says, "As the Father has sent me, even so I am sending you." Jesus was sent into the world with a massive mission, completely backed by the Father. And now, he is explicitly sending us out with that exact same backing. It's an unbroken chain of command, flowing straight from the Father to the Son and now directly to you. So I've got to ask you the ultimate question. Do you actually believe it? Do you truly, deeply believe that you possess this level of authority? Because I promise you, if you do, it completely changes how you walk into a room. It totally changes how you face the giants in your life. Righteous courage isn't about you trying to be strong enough on your own. It's entirely about trusting the absolute power of the one who stands right behind you. God already has all the authority. God has all the power. But right now, his eyes are actively searching the earth for a vessel. He needs a David to step out onto the battlefield. He needs an Elijah who's willing to rebuild the altar. He needs you to step out in true righteous courage, completely knowing that you fight in the name of the Lord of hosts. So what are you going to do with the authority you've been given? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep stepping forward, and I'll catch you on the next one.